first graders are assholes. How do I know this? Because I was one. There was this girl in my first grade class, Belinda Bowman. We were friends in the traditional first grade fashion. Our best friendship consisted of Belinda just deciding one day that she was going to be my best friend with no consulting with me about it. She sat next to me in class. She followed me around the playground. One vivid memory I had is that we were asking each other questions that were typical of what first graders ask, like what our favorite animal was, our favorite colors, how many people were in our family. Eventually, it got to how old we were and what year we were born. To our shock, we were both 7 years old and born in 1975. To our 7-year-old logic, this was more of a coincidence than realizing that everyone in our class was probably 7 years old and born in 1975. Belinda had straight hair. Her hair was lighter than mine, but not quite blonde. Her hair was more like beige, rather than the normal colors for hair such as blonde or brown. I often thought that her hair and her skin were almost the same color, that you didn't know where her hairline ended and her skin began. That she kind of looked like a colorless beige blob. Unlike me, she didn't have bangs, but she had these tiny little flyaway hairs that stuck out in all different directions along her hairline. There could be bangs in an alternate reality. Belinda needed glasses, but she didn't have them. I don't know if it was because her parents didn't know that she needed to get her eyes checked, or they didn't have the financial resources for them. But our teacher, Mrs. McMillan, probably knew, because she was assigned to the front row next to me. We would sit in the front row, and the average work for a first grader was to copy whatever it is the teacher wrote on the chalkboard. Belinda would sit next to me, wait for me to write down on the paper whatever Mrs. McMillan wrote, peering closely over my right shoulder. At first I thought, oh wow, I have this new friend, and we do everything together, even copy off the chalkboard. Slowly I began to realize that Belinda wasn't doing this because she wanted to be my best friend, but that she couldn't see the chalkboard. In my warped first grade mind, I felt like she was manipulating me, that my work wasn't my own, but for her to copy off of. Never mind that I was copying off the chalkboard. I started taking my time writing things down. Belinda would look at me, look at the paper, squint at the chalkboard, and then pointedly looking at me with her beige eyebrows raised, and stare at my paper, silently urging me to write the information from the board down so she could see it over my shoulder and write it down herself. I feigned ignorance, pretending not to know what she was asking me to do, or even understanding why she didn't need me to copy off the board first. I would eventually write it down, Belinda copying off of me with a relieved smile, but I realized something here. In my limited first grade world, I had power. That someone genuinely needed me, instead of me needing something from others, which was normally the case. I was born deaf, and as a result, I wore hearing aids in both ears. Even with them, hearing things was still a struggle, so I was always in the front row, right next to Belinda. I was the girl that couldn't hear, and sitting right next to the girl who couldn't see. One day, I was feeling rather bratty. Belinda had these stickers. Some of you might recognize them from the Boys Town, Nebraska, with Father Flanagan that were mailed to various American households as part of the Christmas fundraiser. They had these perforated edges that you could really rip them off, and they were in grid formation. They could be torn into little rectangles. They had a Norman Rockwellish image with a photograph of boys playing. One of the more memorable images is the boy carrying a smaller boy on his shoulder. And he's like, he's not heavy, he's my brother. Belinda had artistically placed these stamps on a large sheet of paper, and when she was done, she proudly showed me her handiwork. My reaction was jealousy that she had these stamps and I didn't. Looking at her out the corner of my eye, I said, oh, that's nice. A little while later, Belinda left her desk with the sheet of paper with the stamps on top of it. I looked at the sheet of paper. I picked it up. I carried it over to Mrs. McMillan. I showed her the sheet of paper with the stamps aligned on it. I told her I didn't want it anymore. Mrs. McMillan looked at me, squinted her eyes, and asked me if it was mine. I said yes. She sighed, crumpled it in the ball, and threw it into the trash. I walked back to my seat, amazed that I was able to do something like that, and the knowledge that I did something very, very wrong. When I returned to my seat, Belinda was there. She asked me where a sheet of paper was. I just shrugged my shoulders as earnestly as I possibly could, and yet my heart was racing 1,000,000 miles an hour. I said, I don't know. Belinda's expression was quizzical. Where had a sheet of paper gone? I thought to myself, oh my God, I can't believe I got away with this. And I felt this sickening feeling in the pit of my stomach. I had done something really assholey, and there wasn't anything to fix it. The sheet was crumpled in the trash. I didn't have the resources to get these stickers, and they were free, mailed out at Christmas time, and it wasn't that time of year. I was in first grade, and seriously, what kind of power do I have? About an hour later, Mrs. McMillan called me outside the classroom to have a chat with me. Normally, this would be very exciting, that you were special enough for the teacher to call on you for individual time outside the classroom. But of course, we all know better. Mrs. McMillan tells me I'm busted. I really don't have any memory of what we talked about other than I turned on the waterworks and squalled like a baby, loudly. Part of it was genuine remorse for what I had done, that I had hurt someone because of an impulse based on jealousy. Part of it was that I had disappointed my teacher, whom I had looked up to. And part of it knew that if I kept crying, Mrs. McMillan would go easier on me. Because I did do something very, very bad. The talk eventually ended with her telling me I wasn't a bad kid, that this action of mine was completely uncharacteristic of me, and that she liked me, and just not to do it again because it wasn't very nice. This incident was 35 years ago, and guess what? I still have these impulses. Your shirt is nice. I kind of wish I had your drink. And your boyfriend is hot. Anyone can be Blenda Bowman. Thank you.